Tesla has just made a number of statements and big moves over the weekend. First, Elon Musk has announced that Tesla's full self-driving will soon exceed 10,000 miles between crucial interventions. This is a year of driving for most people. He also said a software upgrade is in the works to make FSD smoother for Hardware 3 cars, and just said that Grok is coming to Tesla vehicles. And he says Waymo is expensive and slow. He was also at the Trump rally. We're going to talk about how that is going to impact Tesla. Second, Tesla shared a video of a big social media influencer who has 5 million followers on YouTube and TikTok. Kyle Kruger did a video of him using actual Smart Summon in a parking lot and got 16 million people watching. Sure looks like Smart Summon is a feature that will have its ChatGPT moment and it's going to go viral. Third, Tesla has now begun selling an $80,000 Cybertruck. We've got the details here. Jeff Lutz, ex-CVP of Supply Chain and Chief Quality Officer, and now CEO of his own supply chain consulting firm, is joining us. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Hey, here we're just a lot going on this weekend and leading up to the Robotaxi event, so a lot to talk about.
Yep. So a lot of updates from Elon himself. He was very busy this weekend. I think one of the things you can share is how is his, support of Trump going to impact Tesla? That's kind of like what we are focused on in this channel. So let's take a look at how that works. But so many events that happen, including the Cybertruck, which you know a lot about. So that's big. So we've got here Omar saying that, relaxation factor for FSD is increasing exponentially. It's amazing to have your car driving all around town, running errands, and have zero interventions, zero harsh, uncomfortable moments, zero complaints, just doing everything for you before you can even think to do it. Elon replied to him saying FSD will soon exceed 10,000 miles between critical interventions, which is a year of driving for most people. So he said would soon exceed, so we don't know what that means. But then he added here that, right now, this version is very rough on the Hardware 3 cars, lots of hands-off. Well, at least he's saying hands-off is great, but it's still rough on the Phantom Braking's back. Elon said smoothness upgrade is in the works for Hardware 3. Quick thoughts on those updates.
Yeah, and this is where I can kind of draw on some prior experience as well as leading quality and looking at large data sets and trying to assess what it means for consumers. I think there are people that are honestly confused when they look at and they hear about FSD data first, and it goes in both directions, by the way. So you see there's posts about, I'm having, perfect drives and those could be happening. And then you see posts of like, well, it's rough and I'm still seeing, and that could be happening too. And then there's people that just look at these one-off posts and say, well, the fact that somebody had a problem means that there's no way that they can get anytime soon, as Elon said, get the average, to 10,000 miles between critical. Remember, you have to define what a critical intervention is. And what I would tell you is that when I look at this and I see this, there's a big difference between data and aggregate. So think of hundreds of thousands of cars and billions of miles, and then think about the singular post that you're seeing on X, both some extreme to the very good and some extreme to not so good. And when you take all that in aggregate, all of these things can be true at the same time, is my point. And what Tesla is looking at, Tesla has the master dashboard. Tesla, we all sign into our vehicles and we all allow them to share data. And there's data being taken from these vehicles. Some data, some vehicles, much more extensive data. But Tesla has all that data in aggregate, and they have a real-time dashboard of what's happening in all the vehicles. And so they're not looking at, there's FSD tracker, there's all these different things out there where there's 20 cars or 100 cars. Tesla's looking at hundreds of thousands of cars, different geographies on different releases and different points in time. And that's why you have to look at like the kind of the noise you see on Twitter, again, both to the extreme positive and to the extreme negative. And you have to take all that in context and understand that. I'm not saying everything is great, by the way. What I'm telling you is when the Tesla AI team comments on where they see the release going and the improvements that they're seeing, that there's weight behind that information, and there's a data set behind that information that we simply don't have access to. And somebody say, well, why doesn't Tesla just release that data? I believe that they are releasing bits of data at certain points in time, based on what they want to release. When you're in a beta stage, which they're out of right now, and you're going into a production stage, you release different sets of data based on that. So my key takeaways are data in aggregate and very large sample sizes is much different than the extremes we see on X. And I would tell people to be patient. By the way, Tesla has not given us any reason, quite frankly, to not believe what they're saying. What you have to look at, and here's my I think the biggest point. And there's analysts, there's people reaching out to me for input and for feedback. And here's what I would tell them. When they say, when is Tesla going to get to, full robotaxi capability? And the answer I would tell them is that we don't have a measurement system that will give you the answer. So when I hear these people talking about it's going to be 2035 or it's going to be 2040 or it's going to be 2030 or it's going to be next year, none of those people actually have the measurement system. And the measurement system is created off of these foundation models, this training, the size of compute. Nobody knows all of these variables in its entirety. What you have to look at is the relative progress and the rate of progress from just look at a year ago to where we are today, or even look from the beginning of this year when 12 was released to where we are today. And that to me is what we actually have to be, what we have to look at. And I know we're spending a little bit of time on this because I think it's important. There's a big difference between the data we see on X and what Tesla has. And in terms of predicting the end date, what I'm telling you is the measurement system and the rate of change are unknown based on, we've never had this size of compute and we've never had this approach to generalized, AI for full self-driving. So I think we're going to learn along the way. I think Tesla sees things in terms of the rate of change, and they can predict things that we're not going to be able to see.
Okay. And then, of course, we're going to learn more in just a few days here at 10/10 event. We'll see. There's a few things here that Elon has been saying. And so that was one. We'll have to kind of figure out which ones of these things are giving you hints or which ones are kind of, you'll learn more on Thursday. Omar also said Waymo in Los Angeles, wait time was 23 minutes. The cost was $24 and distance was 1.5 miles. So that's incredible how long you're waiting for such an expensive drive for just a short mileage. $24 for 2 miles, less than 2 miles. Elon replied saying that's expensive and slow. Okay. So Is he now saying that, okay, if that's expensive and slow, then he better promise that Tesla's network is going to be much better. And he was actually on a space. He joined a space and he was talking about Tesla vehicles getting Grok maybe. So let's listen in to what he actually said. So here's just another bit of info.
Hey, Elon, is Grok coming to Tesla vehicles before Optimi?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I think you'll be able to ask Grok things in Tesla. Sure. Makes sense. Yeah.
Would they be run locally or would they be run through through the API?
Through the API. Yeah.
Right.
These AIs they use quite a bit of concurrent compute.
All right. So he sounded very, no, maybe kind of thing. How did you interpret that?
Well, let's go back to the commentary on the cost per ride. This is what makes me honestly want to reach through the screen and like I want to talk to analysts who comment on this robotaxi operator or that robotaxi, like they're doing it, like it. Well, what's it? And there's two sides of that coin that are honestly discussed probably less than 1% of the time, which is what is the cost per mile to the consumer? Okay, that $24 for the mile and a half is not going to scale. Consumers are going to open that up. They're going to see that. They're going to open up Uber. And if Uber's offering that same ride for 12 or 13, they're going to go take the Uber. And if Tesla's offering that ride for 8 or 9, people are going to start doing that. And very quickly, the volume is going to move to one versus the other. So number one, and by the way, you set that pricing based on utilization and based on availability. So this is a supply demand thing. Okay. And it's also an underlying cost structure thing, which we can talk about. The other side of this is what are these robotaxi? Are they actually profitable? Are they actually making money? What point on the calendar does profitability get to greater than zero? Right now, we don't know of one today that actually is. If it's not split out, and there's, a reason a lot of these companies don't split things out. So all I would just comment on this is that when you're having these conversations about robo-taxis, it's not, it's interesting that there's a heavy weight that's placed on almost what to me looks like a prototype operation in some of these companies of putting a couple hundred cars out on the road on pre-mapped streets. Be damn the cost structure to the company, and be damn the cost structure to the consumer, and just whatever. And and then we have the approach that Tesla is taking, which is they're taking honestly the lowest volume approach for a device doing inference and giving these rides. This is the lowest cost approach that they're taking. So I think when we fast forward the clock, whether it's 1 year from now or 2 years from now, the cost per mile is going to be critical. And I don't believe anybody is building an underlying system that's going to get them to the cost structure, which will then lead to the scale and number of units out on the road and number of rides given that Tesla is doing. So that post from Holmars is very important. The only comment I would say about Grok is this is going to be a special thing. I believe a special +1 for the Tesla robotaxi. Will other robotaxi companies, will they integrate services from many companies, whether it's, you name it, language model XYZ? Yes. But, Tesla is doing all this integration, honestly, under one roof, if you think about it, although XAI and Tesla are different companies. But in terms of the latency, the performance, the capability. So I don't think Elon on the space wants to do product announcements and wants to be that explicit. But I've even, posted about this before, or is this going to be kind of like the Knight Rider experience at some point? And he's responded like, yeah, that, that's the plan. So I think that's the vision. I don't think, but that question he was asked is like, is it going to get it before Optimus, I believe. And I don't think he wants to comment on product in relation to schedule, in relation to order in his company. I don't think he wants to do that on a space.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I think maybe you're right because, expensive and slow, that's great. That's confidence that Tesla's going to launch something that he thinks is better. And then the Grok thing, yeah, it's like either it's not going to happen at all, or more likely he didn't want to split up. All right, so the other big thing that happened this weekend, it's not about a political thing, this is about the impact to Tesla for this audience. You need to be aware of this, is he did come out and supported Trump as he has been. So here he is there this weekend. What we want to do is talk about how this is going to impact Tesla and his other companies. So he was very much in rallying for Trump, even jumping up like this as well. And there was this comment that this person said that Elon made $1 trillion bet on Trump winning. Tesla, SpaceX, and Twitter, the biggest gamble in history, stands to win about 20-30 trillion if it works. I mean, I think it's also the opposite, right? You've got one government, the group that is supportive of Elon, and the other one is not. Could this be true, Jeff? Do you think that this could actually be this much? I'm also going to play the video that he was, CNBC was evaluating this as well.
Yeah, my short answer is I don't prescribe to either extreme. I don't think it's, days are over if one administration goes in. I don't think it's full steam ahead and everything's perfect if the other administration goes in. These candidates say things during this time because they need votes and they need financial support to get elected. I'm not saying they're both going to like turn and be completely different after the election, but to say that the Democratic side is just not going to be supportive of Elon and Elon companies, I don't think is the case. Now, it's pretty clear that there's some nitpicking happening in terms of contracts, in terms of investigations and so forth. I bet you there's truth behind it on both sides. I bet you there are some real issues. The question is I think some of that goes away. So I think what happens is I don't think either extreme is going to play out per se. Like I don't think, in the Trump administration, I mean, there wasn't any tremendous policy towards, green energy or green energy companies. But I think this is different than 2016. and different than 2020. I think they've now actually formed a bond where I think actually Elon can influence and get more things done. I'm not saying that, he's going to like change the Republican side of the ticket overnight. I think the Republican side of the ticket has really, honestly, the wrong policies on clean energy. And I think there needs to be some of this moving to the middle on it. And I think that's where Elon actually wants to take the conversation. And on the other side of it is, I don't think it's going to be, I understand it. This is a political season. This is, it's really kind of ferocious and everybody's saying everything. But I think after the election, if VP Harris wins, I don't think it's the end of the world either. I think he's built a company where all of those policies, where the government is really, I think the government right now, in terms of the IRA, okay, I don't agree with everything with how it's written, but in terms of like getting the United States back on track to mine these minerals, to get the refining set up, this is the underlying supply chain. And then of course to build battery energy systems here, to build solar, to build, get all these clean energy projects off the ground and get them properly incentivized. That's going to be the right thing for our country in the long term. I think where there's disagreement is like it's all or nothing. Like we need tons of oil, tons of this, tons of that. And even Elon says like, look, you still need these other forms of energy. It's not all one or the other. So my bottom line is I don't think it's going to be all or nothing on this, but I actually also don't think that these aren't single issue. I don't think Elon's a single issue type supporter. I think there's multiple things that he's, saying like it's important to vote with what he's recommending. I don't think it's just one issue. So I mean that's my takeaway. I don't think it's going to be extreme on either side. But I mean this is definitely a much bolder move than he's ever done before. So we're gonna have to see how it plays out.
Let's see how CNBC and mainstream media is interpreting what happened.
His Tesla robotaxi event, which takes place on Thursday. Of course, over the weekend, he joined former President Trump on the campaign trail at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, the site of the assassination attempt against Trump back in July. Ended up at the Steelers game. Jim talked about going dark MAGA, arguing that if Trump doesn't win, it'll be the last election.
Yeah, I mean, we're in that moment where the people who are in favor of Trump are really kind of adamant that we're into some sort of weird spiral down for the democracy, and then for whatever we have. And then the people on the other side are saying weird spiral down. I read Timothy Snyder from Yale. It was really great. Just as, but we're going to be with a dictator. And I want to step back and just say, look, I don't want people to be freaked out by any of this stuff, because we may have, if you have a split government, you're not going to have this. And that's kind of, if you're worried about democracy, David, maybe split government is the antidote. Did you watch this?
No.
Why not? Why would I? It's a business story.
Yeah, I the two sides of Musk are hard to. There's all the things he tweets or whatever he posts and reposts.
Yeah.
Many of which are politically related now. Many of which are not accurate. And then there's the other side of him.
There's October 10th.
By the way, largest government contractor as well, which is interesting.
Largest government contractor. And of course, you heard him talk about the politics side of Elon. He talked about the, Elon being obviously his companies. What was your thoughts on what you heard there?
Yeah. Look, I'll say what I say in the beginning. I don't think either extreme is going to play out. I don't think it's going to be all roses and, happiness. I think there's some uncertainty, by the way, too, if there's a lot of uncertainty if the Republican side is elected in terms of, Elon's role in government and, potentially some amount of distraction, even though he's got unbelievable, we can't understand his capacity for work. Most people can't understand his capacity for work. But anyway, I don't think my bottom line is I don't think either extreme is going to play. I don't think it's the end of, democracy one way or another. And the big thing, and I think Cramer said it, markets and what's best for companies and best for markets is honestly a bit of split government, where it could either be Congress or the Senate or the White House. But as long as they're all three not going in one direction, I think the markets will actually react most positively to that and to split government. And it kind of looks like we're setting up for that, but it's not. It's one of the closest election seasons, I think, on record. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But for Tesla, I think Tesla is positioned well in either extent. There is no company, I believe, that's taking greater benefit of the IRA, of the current administration's policies, than Tesla. And then on the other side of that, if there has been good favor built up with the Republican side and so forth, and free speech and everything that's being driven on from the X platform and around, I think Elon could and should have a much broader say in AI safety, on clean energy investments and so forth. And that's what you would want to see. It would be great if the current government would take more and more of his input. At the same time, there's Adamus kind of going in both directions. So long story short, I don't see an extreme in either side of it. And split government is probably where this is going. And it's probably the best thing for companies like Tesla and SpaceX.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for doing that, Jeff. I appreciate your comments about this. Obviously, we're about less than a month away from the actual election. And so, it's as hot as it can possibly be on both sides. But what's important at this point is, separate out Elon's politics, because at the end of the day, what actually is driving Tesla, it's the products, it's the features. Right. And, there's a lot going on here beyond how Elon is being perceived out there. And one great example of that is actual smart summon. So this is a feature that allows you to summon your Tesla from any parking lot in the United States now. And it truly is going viral like we were predicting it will be, because it's just one of those shocking things to watch on a parking lot. So here is Kyle Kruger. Kyle Kruger is, he's got, 5 million people, subscribers on YouTube, 5 million on Instagram, 5 million on TikTok. He posted this video of actual smart summon and 16 million people watched it. And what was very interesting about the video was that the very top comment is like, I don't even like Teslas, but this is pretty cool. 25,000 likes. Just an example of, okay, this is a feature that's going to break through, whether or not you like Elon, don't like Elon, just recognizing here's what it can do. I'll play those two videos that he's got here. And then Tesla themselves said, just for $99 a month, your car picks you up, drives you wherever you want under supervision, all on its own. Elon, of course, forwarded that video. And then Kyle Kruger said he's going to try a new video at a packed Costco parking lot. If his first video got 100,000 likes, it got 1.5 million likes. So, and then he posted this video of him in Costco. Ashok Goswami, of course, said, whew, it worked, because this is his baby. He's very proud of it. And Tesla AI posted this saying, what's special about FSD Supervised is that it works anywhere in the US and Canada. No high definition maps, no geofence. This means you can even use it in places that no Tesla has ever traveled before. I think that was a misnomer. So let's watch this video from Kyle Kruger.
My Tesla just got an update, and now it apparently can pick me up anywhere in a parking lot all by itself with no driver. All I have to do is hold a button and it comes to me. Let me show you how insane this is. If I press come to me, the car instantly starts driving by itself to me. There is nobody in that car, and I rolled down the windows to show other people, and the reactions are priceless. I mean, this guy did a double take. I've sped some of the clips up, but it does about 6 miles an hour at its highest speed, and my car just delivered itself to me. I was kind of worried what would happen if something unexpected happened. Well, this car pulled out right in front of it while it was driving, and it didn't care. It just slowed down like no big deal. I honestly thought it would struggle with a Walmart parking lot, so I did it in a less busy area, but no, I mean, it just worked perfectly. So I tried it in a busier area, and well, it worked perfectly again. My car just drove to me by itself. That worked surprisingly well, so 100,000 likes and I'll try this in a packed Costco parking lot.
Well, you got 1.5 million likes, and then this is the Costco parking lot.
My Tesla just got an update, and now it apparently can pick me up anywhere in a parking lot all by itself with no driver. All I have to do is hold a button and it comes to me. Let me show you how insane this is. If I press come to me,
Wait,
the car
is this the same
instantly
video?
starts driving by itself. I've spent some of the clips.
I thought that was the park at Costco. Okay. Anyways, so somebody was measuring that this could be $1 billion of equivalent to $1 billion of ad revenue, because you've got these free social media accounts going crazy. It's going viral. People are watching this. What's your analysis of everything?
Yeah, this is great for Tesla. These things are going to go viral. It's so special to see this, because our brains aren't accustomed to seeing a vehicle with nobody behind it. Although you're now seeing more and more Waymos, but and you're seeing other vehicles cruise and so forth. But these robotaxis aren't things you can buy. Like, they're not things that you can buy as a consumer. Tesla's something you can buy as a consumer. It doesn't have kind of all the things kind of bolted to the side of it either. It looks kind of like a normal car. And so to see this thing, it's very special. I think it is going to go viral. I also think you're going to see the other side of this, where you're going to see people, running in front of these things on purpose. You're going to see people trying to cut them off, like you saw that car. And what people need to understand is, like, this is a computer, this is logic, and it's going to always, it's going to always be safe, and it's going to always be, cautious. And it's in the end, it's going to be patient enough to get where it needs to get to and do the right thing. And so, yeah, I do think Tesla and others need a strategy for how to deal with this. There's people that are kind of messing around with, we see now on video, with robotaxis and so forth. So there may need to be some strategy around that. But in the end, this is great. Call it free media, and quite frankly, the team earned it. This is a very special thing, and to light this up on hundreds of thousands of vehicles. I mean, this may be the single thing that drives a lot of people to sign up for FSD. And I will tell people this, and when people ask me about it, I bought FSD on my vehicle, and a year ago on V11, I was probably using it for about 30% of the drives. It wasn't fast enough. There was too many issues, too many interventions, but I definitely wanted to use each release and understand and see the relative progress. And now it's so good. I'm not saying it's perfect, by the way, but it is so good. I use it for 90% of my rides. In fact, the default is for me to say where I'm going and press the button. It is now unusual for me to drive my own car. And I love driving my cars. They have great performance, they have great speed and so forth. But this is such a much better experience. So to me, that relative improvement year on year is a big deal. Seeing these things, seeing actual Smart Summon, I think you're going to see more and more viral moments like this. Even people that don't have 5 million followers, they just have a few thousand, they're posting it, and the posts are going viral.
As I think about whether or not this is going to be truly useful, it's going to go viral for sure, but is it useful? And then my list is actually growing, right? So it's not only the elderly and the children, people with children, the people who are concerned about their safety, but also it's also the people who forget where they park their car.
Yeah.
Somebody brought that up. It's like, yeah, that's right. If you forget to park your car, just have it summoned, come to you. Like, wow, that could be a big one. And that's a feature. Okay. This final story is about the Cybertruck. It could easily have been the very first story we did today, because I think it's such a big deal. Tesla's now offering an $80,000 Cybertruck. This is now beyond the non-foundation series. Your Cybertruck is ready for delivery, starting at 325 miles range. So this is officially beginning this month, much earlier than anybody was expecting. And then the 99,000 tri-motor Cyberbeast is also now available to order. This is the cheaper Cybertruck, and we've been reporting that the Foundation series over 100,000 has been doing very well already. But now you've got this. So I was going to ask you, Jeff, of course, when this is happening, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the scale of Cybertruck must be at this point if they're willing to offer you a lower price. Here's the prices of the different kinds of features that you want to do. Still adds up to pretty expensive, $94,000. But you can see now that it's, you can now offer this additional pricing. And then they're also honoring this original $7,000 FSD price for early Cybertruck reservation holders, this was something that people were concerned about. Yeah. What's your thoughts on the Cybertruck?
Yeah, this is great. To answer your question, this means, and Tesla still has a lever here, which is lead time. If they run into issues relating to cost where they need to figure something else out, or they can always just extend the lead times, build fewer vehicles, and figure out that next cost improvement they need to integrate to get it lower. But I think they've actually figured this out. And they said this would happen near the end of the year, and we're in October. So it's actually on schedule, maybe even slightly ahead, which a lot of people won't talk about. They don't want to talk about things that are behind schedule. So this to me, this means that they've gotten themselves to a point. It's not terminal COGS. Terminal COGS mean you figured out most of everything and you're in this maintenance mode of like bringing it down quarterly. I still think that there's many engineering changes that they're going to be doing over the next year, maybe over the next 2 years or more. And Tesla has proven that they almost do that in perpetuity on their high volume products, where they go in and they're not just dependent on the gross size of the supply base and the factory to bring their COGS down. They're focused on actual changes. They're making changes to the product. But it seems like they've got it to a point now where they're comfortable to flip on this version. But I want to explain something here so it's clear for people, because I don't actually understand what people are thinking when they're thinking that this is a $20,000 cheaper. Yes, the base vehicle is all Tesla did in this situation is when they shipped the Foundation series, they gave you earlier access, but they also put in very, very high gross margin accessories into that mix. And when they made that the core COGS of the entire vehicle. So the whole thing had to come with all these different things. So the larger tires, the white seats, all the different things that they put in there, power share, FSD, all these things. But when you add the value up to all those different things, that it's actually close to the $20,000. That's the vehicle that I would have configured, by the way. So
Yeah.
in my personal experience, like, I have no regrets getting the Foundation series. I would buy an equally equipped vehicle again in the future, or the all-wheel drive, same thing, Cyber Beast or all-wheel drive. I would want many of those extras anyway. So I don't think what people are getting, people are confusing cost and value. The value of what you're getting, if you don't get the larger wheels, if you don't get power share, if you don't get all those things, you don't have that functionality. That may not be important to you. So Tesla's given more choice to consumers, but quite frankly, all they've done is they've shipped from a fixed COGS to a variable COGS structure. So those things are still available. You can add many of the things to the vehicle. Not everything, by the way. You can't add everything, every feature that was in Foundation to the vehicle. There's things that only exist in Foundation. But what Tesla's been able to do is shift this and move this to a variable structure, and then leave the smaller core of the vehicle to be the base. Whereas before the Foundation series, they had all these high volume accessories bolted to the thing that would actually help improve the gross margin of the base vehicle offering. So that's all that's being done here, in this situation. So to me, yeah, they feel like they could scale it and take it to the next level. So if that's going from 1,500 or so a week to 2,500 a week or 3,000 a week, we'll see what they do. But that'll be another stage. They'll take it to another larger stage of production, and then they're going to roll in more improvements. So there was a reason that Tesla, when they said, hey, we think we'll build around 250K or so of these a year, there was a reason they only released 125K of CapEx. And what they knew is like, okay, on this 125K CapEx, we're going to ramp this up. We're going to get it to, the full rated velocity. We're going to be making changes in there. But that next 125K, I imagine, are going to be CapEx with a lot of changes in it to take costs down. And so what they'll do is they'll introduce that next 125K lot of CapEx in various stages over time. It's not all at once. And then they'll take the original 125K and start retrofitting that. So that's the sequence we're going through right now. That's what it means to consumers. Tesla can build more now at economic scale. Is it break even? Is it slightly positive? Maybe we'll find out more on the earnings call, and certainly more on the next earnings call in January. But it's a good sign.
Thank you so much for explaining that, Jeff. That's great. But I mean, yes, I get you. Foundation model was 100,000, but it was all all in, right? You have to buy it this way, which is brilliant because you want the best looking car, fantastic first introduction out there. But now they just did what normal vehicles do, which is they show you a base number, but then at the end of the day, you're going to end up buying the options anyways. So this is fantastic. You know, it's going to be a good marketing to say that Cybertruck, buy it at 80,000, although you probably wouldn't. Thank you so much, Jeff. That was fantastic. Really appreciate your commentary throughout. Follow Jeff on X at the Jeff Lutz. You get this information ahead of time. He's also got subscribers set up now too. So if you want to see more detailed analysis of what's happening, do that. Thank you so much, Jeff. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Herbert.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.